Those that are not open, for example, to embracing AI and what's coming, you're dead. Your company is going to die. You are going to get passed by somebody else. Your morning routine right now matters. How you show up matters. How you navigate through all of this. You've got to be open. You've got to be curious. If you've been doing things a certain way and all of a sudden the world throws major curveballs like what's happening and will continue to happen this year, you've got to be open to change. For those of you that own businesses, the level of success that you will have in your business is in direct correlation with the amount of truth that you're able to accept about yourself. Welcome to the Burnout Podcast. My name is Adam Nugent. I am your host. Welcome to the year of the reckoning. I cannot believe what's going on in the world today. And I'm here to tell you that I truly believe that there is a tremendous amount of pain, and I'll even use the word destruction, that is coming to our society, that is coming to us economically in all pillars of our life. By no means do I want to make this podcast political or anything more than just speaking the truth and what I believe. Now, you may or may not agree with me, but I think it's really important that I share my perspective on some things and how you can take these perspectives and apply them to your own life, including experiences that I went through personally several years ago when I lost my investment company. I lost myself. I nearly killed myself. The world in many ways is quote unquote on fire. I'm recording this right now 3 days before this airs. So this is all happening right now. We're at war with Iran. And what I want to speak to first and foremost, or even pose it as a question in the beginning, is like, what is even real? What is true? Now, if you can't see this, we are being propagandized. I don't even know if that's a word, but we are being fed a line from everybody, from the government, from mainstream media. They are creating a narrative. And the reality is we are not getting the full truth. They are trying to paint this in a certain way. We have a president today that says one thing and does another. All you need to do is go look at his tweets, things that he says, this war's almost over. And then now he's threatening, to bomb all of the energy infrastructure for Iran. I mean, the entire world is getting involved in this thing. And it is not, in my opinion, going to end anytime soon. This thing, I truly believe, is going to be strung out, and there are going to be dire consequences that are going to affect each and every one of us. I believe gas prices are going to continue to skyrocket. I mean, you've got people like the CEO of United Airlines writing a letter to his employees stating that they're anticipating oil hitting $175 a barrel. You've got countries, I believe it's South Korea, that's saying it's encouraging people to walk, to not take public transit. This is affecting everything. And as oil prices go up, it affects every parts of our life. It's not just what we drive, it's the products that we pay for, and even natural resources are potentially being affected by this. This thing is significant. This is not a quick thing, and I truly believe this is not going anywhere. And I'm inviting you to question the narrative. Question it. Again, you might call me a conspiracy theory for this, but don't you find it fascinating that even in Israel today, that reporters are not allowed to show damage that's happening in Israel? So if you get on the main channels called CNN, Fox News, the reporters are actually saying, well, we can't show you this. We saw this missile coming in. They're actually screening what we're able to see. I'm 48. For those of you that remember Desert Storm, right? When we invaded Iraq, I mean, you had reporters on the front lines. I mean, we're getting play-by-play of all of this. None of that's happening today. What's real? And take TikTok, for example. One of the big things that TikTok did when Israel was bombing and going after Gaza, we saw it all. And so the state of Israel was presenting one narrative. America, in many ways, was presenting it. But then we saw all of it for those that you were on TikTok. And don't you find it fascinating? I'm posing this as a question, but read between the lines. TikTok was purchased and brought back to from America, but the politicians sold us on the fact that China was stealing our data. China was stealing our information. Do you think that's what it was? Or is it the fact that it was an app that gave us access, unfiltered access to things that are going on in the world? Everything's propagandized. And I used to believe that we in this country, U.S. isn't like this. You hear about all these different countries that only allow their citizens to see certain things. I mean, we are doing the exact same thing. And people are lying to our faces, and they're doing it so blatantly. Everybody is. Democrats, Republicans. And the truth is they want us fighting with each other. It's a distraction. It's noise. It's noise. And, you take the Epstein files. Is it a coincidence, the fact that they're pushing to release the rest of these files, then all of a sudden we go to war? There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Is it a coincidence that, we, in conjunction with Israel, go after Iran, but at the same time, Israel's going after Lebanon. There's been over 1,000 people that have been killed. I mean, there's a lot of chaos going on in the world, and they're presenting a certain narrative. But what is the actual truth? What is the actual truth? And again, I'm not trying to make this political. I'm trying to present ideas of what's going on in the world and ideally how we can take those back to our own life. Now, you're also seeing the advancement of AI. I mean, it is moving and progressing so rapidly that it is having a tremendous amount of impact in our economy. And I truly believe you will see millions, and I mean millions of job losses here over the next couple of years as AI goes to replace them. There are major, especially in the tech space, that are replacing half their workforce. Facebook, Meta, the parent company, just announced 20% of their employees. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of people are getting laid off because AI can do it. AI is a disruptor. It's not going anywhere. And it's going to create mass havoc. And so you have this entire, call it a perfect storm, if you will, of the advancement of technology that's going to be eliminating jobs. You've got world calamities that creates uncertainty. Nobody likes uncertainty. I truly believe that the stock market this year is going to get pummeled. That's the world that I came from. I always used to say this to clients, the longer and longer a market goes without any sort of, pullback, if you will, the fact that when the pullback does come, it hits hard and we feel it even more. I believe with the uncertainty of where things are at, even where the market is priced, it is so overpriced relative to historic returns and market valuations that having oil potentially double or even more will have catastrophic things across the world. We have hyperinflation that's kicking in. Just before we went to war, the Fed was planning on cutting interest rates. People are getting more excited about the housing market. Now rates are spiking. And if oil goes up, inflationary matters, kick in. And if, in order for the Fed to offset inflation, they will actually have to raise rates. They will have to raise them, which is, again, another double-edged sword, which will then drive certain prices down. I'm just telling you that I truly believe that there is a tremendous amount of carnage that is headed our way, and it's already started. Many of the indices, the NASDAQ, small cap, it's already in correction territory. And, the gains for the year have completely been wiped out. And I always used to say the market's like good news. The market's actually like bad news. The markets hate uncertainty. And there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty. And so what I want to bring to the surface, what I'd really like to discuss is, what do you do in uncertain times? You've got to be able to pivot. And more importantly, what type of man, and I'm really specifically speaking to men today, what type of man do you need to be in order to navigate through uncertainty, through pivots, through things not working out, through potentially huge disruptions in your business and in your career? Because it is coming. And it's super important that you be very proactive. And if you think that the way you've been doing business is going to continue to work going forward, you are fooling yourself. I'm telling you, everything is changing. Even in the world that I'm in the coaching world, or even on market, it's fascinating how fast it's changing. I don't know how many of you subscribe to this, but I did a post on my personal social media. I'm not an astrology expert by any means, but I've studied enough, I've looked at it enough that there's something there. I'm going to leave it at that. And what happened this year with the Chinese astrology year is it's the year of the fire horse. And I did a post around this. The year of the fire horse moves quickly. It burns. And if you've done the work, and I'm going to get into this here in a minute, it's going to be a tremendous year as you work and navigate through this. But also fire will cleanse. Fire will take out what is not real, what is not true. And what's happening is we are seeing lots of cracks, if you will, in society, in government, in religion, in all over the place. And I truly believe that if you have cracks in your foundation as a man, those cracks, in this year especially, are going to get exposed. So what do I mean by cracks? A crack would be you have a little white lie, or you're living out of alignment, you're out of integrity. If you're a married man, right, and you're like the majority of men, because statistically, majority of men at some point are currently or have looked at porn, and your wife doesn't know, that would be considered a crack. And there's a void, if you will. And if you don't address it, if you don't come clean with it, if you don't speak it, if you don't get back into integrity, that crack will get bigger and bigger and bigger. I truly believe that, taking an example of porn, if you're looking at porn, your wife doesn't know, you secret, there's some shame attached to it. And then all of a sudden, you're crushing in your business, and all of a sudden you hit a ceiling in your business. And so, you might go to hire coaches, consultants, new employees, or whatever happens to be. But the reality is what's creating the block, if you will, is actually this little white lie, this little secret. And I also believe that when there's a lot of pain, a lot of uncertainty, we as men don't necessarily do well with that. So I truly believe this will be a year of tremendous amount of overuse of drugs, alcohol, porn, to try to numb the feelings of the pain, to numb the fear, to try to work and navigate through all of that. I believe the suicide rate this year is going to spike. I truly believe that we are headed into this perfect storm that's already started. And I'm here to tell you that you can navigate through it. You can come on the other side of it. You can, I'm telling you, through the pain, there's tremendous opportunities on the other side of this. But as we go through this, it can be very painful. And if you're not prepared as a man, foundationally, you are going to increase the amount of pain, the amount of suffering that you potentially could feel. It's inevitable. And again, I went through this just a few years ago. I built an empire on stilts. I had a very large investment management firm, managed $1.4 billion, making money hands over fist. But the reality is I built an empire on stilts. My emotional well-being was shit. Relationally, went through a divorce. Physically, at one point, I weighed 350 pounds. I was filling those other voids in my life with money. My worth was tied to outside validation. I outsourced my worth, and I hated the guy in the mirror. But I got fulfillment when I helped people, when I did certain things. And I'm just telling you that if you don't have a solid foundation of a man, it doesn't matter what it is or how it is, your kingdom, your empire, your whatever you build will crash. It'll come down. And I'm telling you, you don't have to. It doesn't have to happen. You don't have to, quote unquote, lose everything. But rock bottom is a gift. And if you don't address these cracks in your foundation, if they're small right now, I'm telling you, they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I truly believe the root of that is getting back into integrity, is telling the truth. And it's painful. The truth hurts. Baby, it hurts. But the longer you wait, the more pain you're going to have, the more potential destruction, and you're going to hurt those that you do not want to hurt. You're going to create a lot more if you don't address it. It starts with truth. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to look at the man in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Because, again, we know when we're lying. It's easy when nobody knows, but you know. And if you're living out of integrity, I'm telling you, it'll catch up with you. And so it's an opportunity as we see the world, in my opinion, cracking, major cracks. And what we've been doing, especially here in America, it's unsustainable. The amount of debt we have, the whole system. Initially I was a fan of Trump. I liked the idea that he was different. I mean, here's a man, frankly, that, ran on all these promises and he's not delivering. I'm not going to war. I'm going to war. He talks out of both sides of his mouth, right? You can't trust him. And the truth is you can't trust anyone else. And I'm blown away today by people that just subscribe to that it's like, no matter what, I'm MAGA, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Republican. Listen, the whole system is fucked. It is. And if you can't look at one person and say, you know what, I like this about this person, and I don't like this about that person, your identity's tied to politics. Your identity's tied to religion. If you're part of a particular religion that's rooted, that your identity is rooted in that, and somebody says something or does something or criticizes it and it affects you, that's more about you than it is them. If you have a pastor, a bishop, or a leader that says something you don't necessarily agree with, you can still notice that and still be a part of a particular organization. But it doesn't have to be this all or nothing. And the root of all of this stuff is rooted in identity, how you see yourself. So again, and the stories we tell ourselves matters. If you don't feel worthy of success, I'm telling you, in a year like this, if your business is subject to this stuff, you're going to get your ass handed to you, and you are going to go to some very, very dark places. Your worth cannot be outsourced. Your worth cannot be outsourced. The opinions of others, for me, for example, I still care what other people think. I would be lying if I said otherwise, but not more than what I think about myself. Now, the old version of me cared way too much about what everybody else thought. And I literally it would affect me emotionally, mentally, how somebody saw me. I was always people pleasing. I used to brag about being a chameleon. I would show up this way for this person and show up that way for that person. I literally used to brag about it. I'm like, oh, you got to be like that. It was fake. It was a performance. And so for me personally, when I lost my company very publicly, it's almost like God said, hey, you're going to learn in a very painful and a very public, large way that it doesn't matter what other people think of you. And during that process of going through it, and on the end, I nearly took my life. I mean, I was this close. And it's because my identity was tied to this. It wasn't just my company, it was me. And we as men, many times tie our identity to what we build. It's how much money we make. It's how does other people see us? You know, you probably have heard like, who would you be without your money? Who would you be without your success? You know, I was asked that question, but give these candid, half-ass answers. But then when I actually went through it and lost everything, I didn't know who I was. I lost myself. But it was through that darkness. I didn't succumb to suicide. I was able to move through it, and it was a very, very painful, very process, but I found myself. And I look at that whole experience that I went through personally, for me, was one of the greatest gifts, because I learned that my worth is an intrinsic value that is there no matter what. Nobody can take my worth away from me. My worth is not contingent upon checking boxes A, B, C, and D. My worth is not tied to something that I've done in the past. I've done some fucked up things I'm not proud of, but it's stuff that I did. It's not who I am. I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I think will really kick off or that will really intensify for us as men this year is getting into addictive patterns and cycles. And if we're already in them, it's going to go through the roof in navigating and managing the stress and the uncertainty of what's going on in the world. When I was going through the process, I was numbing out on whatever I could possibly find. I just didn't want the pain. I did not want to feel. I was not at the time able to accept what was happening. So suffering, I've really tried to subscribe to this, because people say, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. I truly believe that now. And so I catch myself when I'm in a painful things. I still have pain. I still have anxieties. I still have fears, but it's my attachment to them that helps me move through it. And more importantly, it's accepting what is. Now, here's the reality. With what's going on in the world today, we as individual people have zero control over it. Zero. And people say, well, if you march, you use your voice, the masses move it. Okay, that's great. And if you want to put your energy into that, but at the end of the day, I don't believe that's really going to help move the needle. I truly don't believe that. So what do you have control over? You have control over you, and only you. It's the only thing you have control over, even as parents. You have young kids that are when you have newborns and young babies, I mean, they are reliant on you to survive. I have 4 sons. I can't control them. I can influence them. I can invite them to do certain things. I can encourage them, but I have zero control over it. For those of you that are married, you don't have any control over your wife and how she shows up. You are responsible for you, and only you. And let me rephrase that. I believe I have a responsibility for my kids, and the people that I love to be able to support and show them, but I don't have any control over how they react. I have no control of what they do with it. Zero. And so many times, a lot of the suffering that we experience is because we're trying to control something that we can't control. So if you're in the real estate market today, right? Last year for many was a challenging year, right? Rates start to come down, starting to get momentum, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a war. Whoo! Interest rates spike, the market softens, people get nervous, they don't spend as much things. You can't control that. So what do you do? What do you do? Take the stock market, for example. My investment business, when the market would fall, I would exponentially grow. I found that as a huge opportunity. Huge opportunity. Why? Because people that wouldn't talk to me before, someone that say was had a large portfolio, let's say at Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley, that's been with them for 20 years, right? And then all of a sudden they're down 20, 30, 40%, whatever it happens to be. Well, when someone's down and things aren't going well, people are more willing hey, maybe there's something else out there. It created opportunities. So this apocalypse, if you will, or this reckoning, as I started this podcast, that's coming, it's going to create incredible opportunities. And the only thing you have any control over it is you and how you show up with it and who your identity is as a man. You've got to be so resolute and so disciplined, especially through seasons like this. So what does that look like? You've got to take care of your physical health. You got to take care of your physical health. I used to weigh 350 pounds. Food was my drug. Eating was my addiction. That's how I numbed the pain. That's how I moved through things. I would just numb out just to get the relief. And what was happening is I was stuck in this pain cycle. I didn't even realize or recognize it. So whatever your modality is that you use to numb or check out, porn, drugs, food, Netflix, whatever it happens to be, you need to be hyper aware of when you're spending more and more time on that and recognizing that any of those behaviors that you tie to, you need to first and check yourself as like, hey, am I using this to not feel? Am I using this to avoid? You've got to be hyper attuned to how you're moving through the world, especially when there's uncertainty, especially when there's stress, and especially when there's things that you cannot control. So you've got to be aware of that. You've got to take care of your physical health, working out, eating healthy. You've got to protect the vessel. You've got to be able to tell the truth. The way you're going to navigate through this is being radically honest, being radically accountable, taking care of your health, and doing literally, frankly, the boring stuff. It's just day at a time. Your morning routine right now matters. How you show up matters. How you navigate through all of this. You've got to be open. You've got to be curious. If you've been doing things a certain way and all of a sudden the world throws major curveballs like what's happening and will continue to happen this year, you've got to be open to change. You've got to be open to pivot. Those that are not open, for example, to embracing AI and what's coming, you're dead. Your company is going to die. You are going to get passed by somebody else. It's inevitable. You've got to embrace it. You've got to learn. And sometimes, change is hard, but change is possible. But so many times we get stuck in our head. Well, I know what's better. This is going to work. You've got to be open. You've got to be curious, and you've got to take care of yourself. For those of you that own businesses, the level of success that you will have in your business is in direct correlation with the amount of truth that you're able to accept about yourself. If you're having problems in your business, trust me, you're contributing to it. You're the common denominator in every part of your life, especially in business. And so when big shit happens, when big things happen, you got to be proactive, you got to be able to move, and you got to keep looking internally as far as what type of man do you need to be able to navigate through all of this. Now, my tagline is freedom is in the fire. The fire hurts. It burns. It's painful. I don't like pain, but I'm working more and more to change my relationship with it because I've been through some very painful, huge things in my life, literally in every pillar of my life. But the reality is it's hell. You can't see very clear when you're going through it. But what's come out on the other side of it 100% of the time has been a better man. I've looked back on it as a gift. It helped release what wasn't meant to be. People that were in my life that went away were never meant to be in my life. I couldn't see it. And so as we enter as a society into a very painful process, this is going to be painful. There's going to be a lot of carnage. There is going to be a lot of people that are affected by things that they have zero control over. And what most people will do is they'll blame the other person. They will be the victim. We're seeing it today. It's because of the politics. It's because of our government. It's because of Trump. It's because of this. It's because of that. Listen, Trump decided to go against his word and he decided to go bomb Iran. Okay. Most America is not in favor of this, regardless of what they're trying to tell us. So what do we do? What do we do? We can get caught up into this. And listen, there's even as all this stuff's been going on, I am so attuned to this as all these people are lying. Here's a conspiracy thing for you. My personal belief today, Netanyahu, I actually don't think he's alive. I think Iran actually killed him. But yet there's videos that are being posted. And if you get on, especially on X, people are using, a lot of it's AI. It's fake. He's not showing up in public settings. He's not. It's wild. You kind of see it. And when you start to see it, you start to see it everywhere. It's crazy. But yet they're still painting this narrative. They are still painting this narrative. It's important that how we navigate through this is how we're taking care of ourselves. And for somebody, frankly, that went through something extremely painful, I ended up going through bankruptcy. I lost everything. Tons of people that I love and care about were affected by it. Very painful, extremely, so much to hold. And I could have navigated through it if hindsight's 2020. I did the best that I could with the tools that I had at the time, but who I am today and what I know, I can navigate through pain and uncomfortableness a lot quicker. I know what to do, and more importantly, I know what not to do. The addictive stuff, guys, will kill you. I promise you. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt to get out of that cycle. Oh my gosh, it's going to hurt. It's the dopamine. There's science behind it. You've got to find other ways and other modalities. One of the greatest things, if you're addicted to something, one of the greatest things that you can do, honestly, is cold water therapy, cold showers. So I got addicted when I was going through the things. I was introduced to what's called HAPE. It's HAPE with a little, mark on it. It's in the plant medicine ceremony. People will take this. It's legal. It's tobacco. You snort it. And a lot of people use it for meditation. And the truth is, when I first did it, you blast off. It's an incredible experience. It's an incredible high. It doesn't last that long. If someone's using it daily, once a day, that would be considered a lot of use. People that are really good about keeping control might do it once or twice a week. The people that are actively using it, I got to the point to where I was doing it 20 times a day, maybe more. And the way it works too is if you take a hit of it, it's not like you can just keep taking a hit and it keeps going. But what I found is if you take one strand and then combine it with another strand and then combine it with another strand, boom, you can continue the high going high. You can keep it going. And I was stuck in a pit of shame. I couldn't get out of it. I'd get so much anxiety and I kept going for the hit. Well, guess what? The hit didn't last as long. It didn't work as long. So when I finally got off of that, it was the hardest thing that I've ever had to detach from as it comes to something that I was addicted from. And I ended up having to do, luckily I have a cold plunge. I was cold plunging 5 times a day just to get the dopamine hit to replace it. The nice thing about cold water therapy is there's no crash. So it hits you hard like you've eaten, a ton of sugar. And some people have said that it actually has the same highs if someone did a line of cocaine. But what would happen is I'd get in this cold plunge, I'd get the hit and then I'd go lay in the grass and my body was shaking, going through withdrawals, sitting there, bawling my eyes out, crying, trying to get off of this. It took a week or two, but I got off of it. But it was a painful process. And you've got to look at it one day at a time. And you've got basically what you're doing is you're creating a new baseline of how you manage and regulate through emotions. And so I want to share a simple formula that you can use. And I'm telling you, this is going to be big this year. There's already more men than not that are in addictive patterns. They hide this shit. There's a lot of shame and guilt. If you're in it, just freaking own it. Own it. I spoke last week to a recovery group, about 60, 70 people. To me, those guys are heroes. Those guys are willing to speak the truth. They're willing to you know what? I got a problem and I'm going to go have somebody help me fix it. Because most people aren't willing to tell the truth. Most people hide this shit. And when I say most, I don't say that lightly. Most. The majority of people have these secrets, have these little lies. Listen, I was that guy. And the reality is there's so much freedom when you can take the mask off and it's like, this is a problem. I'm telling you, then you're free. And the freedom by speaking the truth and taking accountability is priceless. Priceless. I never knew until I actually did it, until I finally took off the mask. But taking off a mask and then taking off another mask and another mask was so painful. So painful. Because my identity was tied to this. Who would I be if they knew I did this? How are they going to see me? But I was so out of alignment and integrity. I was self-betraying. So I'm going to share a formula with you, and you're welcome to message me. I've got a whole thing, on social media. Send me a message, and I'll send you a whole thing on this. But I call this the burn-up reset formula, and this will help you navigate through uncomfortable moments without having to turn to something. The formula is simple. As I share, it's simple. The application of it is challenging. So the first step is you got to have awareness. Now for me, food was my drug, eating was the addiction. When I got triggered, I went into a trance. I was a zombie. I wasn't even aware of it. It was my pattern for most of my life. I would just start to eat. And so if I was happy, sad, anxious, depressed, it didn't matter. Food, I wanted to celebrate, let's eat, So I didn't have awareness around it. Well, now I have awareness around it. So even today, I'm 48, I'm in phenomenal shape, but if I get triggered today, I still want to eat. Food's still the thing. And what I've learned just in this last year is when I'm really tired, when I'm extremely tired, I want to eat. It's a new thing. I'm like, oh my God, I want comfort. So you got to have awareness around it. The second step is you have to acknowledge that you're in that headspace, but this is the key part, and I put ... without judgment. So remember, if I'm aware of that I'm in this headspace, right? So I'll use food as an example. Oh, I'm triggered. I'm sitting in my living room. I'm going to go straight to the cupboard to go eat some Oreos, right? To numb whatever I'm feeling. Well, I get to the cupboard and I recognize, oh shit, here I am. Of course I'm here again. So you have to acknowledge it, but you can't judge it. The non-judgment is the most important part of this. And a real life example is when you're, let's say, and I'm sure we've all done this, at night, especially if I can't sleep or I'm in my head, maybe you've been there, right? Where you're going down some rabbit hole and you don't even know what to do. And then all of a sudden it could be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And then you recognize that you can't sleep. So what do we do in those moments? We get pissed, right? It's like, damn it, I want to sleep. Stop. Well, if I'm mad that I can't sleep, I'm acknowledging that I can't sleep, but I'm judging it. I get pissed. If you judge yourself in that moment, you're actually intensifying it. It actually makes it worse. I don't know about you, but when I get mad that I can't sleep, boom, it's even longer. It's even longer that I can't go back to sleep. So you have to acknowledge that you're in that space, but you can't judge it. So for me today, whether it's food or whatever it happens to be, I'm like, here I am again. I have fun with it. I talk to myself. To me, I have a conversation with my younger self. Now, my last name's Nugent. My high school nickname was Nuge. And so I talk to Nuge. I've named him Nuge. I've actually given him a name. So I'm like, oh, hey, Nuge, here you are. I see you. I just see him. Think about a little kid. What does a little kid do when they scream and cry? They want attention, right? So the inner child in us wants to keep us safe. So for me, I programmed myself that food is safety. Sugar is safe. Whatever it happens to be. I want to feel safe. It's just a story. It's actually not even real. So when I talk to Nuge, I acknowledge him. Today, if I still catch myself not being able to sleep, I literally will lay there and I'm like, hey, Nuge, I hear you. Hey, buddy, it's 3 a.m. We can't do anything about this. I just want you to know I see you. I recognize it. We'll work on this tomorrow. And I'm not kidding you. 9 times out of 10, I'm asleep within 5 minutes. But literally 5 minutes before that, I'm in a rabbit hole. So step 1, awareness. Step 2, I acknowledge it without judgment. The third step, you got to get curious. Why am I here? Why am I thinking this? Right? So if you're up at night and you can't sleep and you're having some anxiety, well, maybe get curious. Why am I anxious? Like, oh shit, I was supposed to call so-and-so and I didn't call him. Or I didn't do this or I didn't do that. Or for me, I get curious, like if I'm going to the cupboard to eat something and I pause and I'm like, curious. Of course I'm here again. I acknowledge that judgment. Then I'm curious. I'm like, you know what? I'm just tired. So in that step of curiosity, I will sit there and I'll be like, okay, Adam, is this going to help you? Is this going to serve you? Like, why are you here? And I really quickly, because I've really worked hard to apply this. I'm like, well, I'm here because I'm tired. Now the fourth step is where most people get tripped up. I have to sit in the uncomfortableness. You have to sit in the uncomfortableness. So I'm still tired. I want to eat to comfort it. I recognize where it is. I'm not judging it, but that still doesn't necessarily numb the desire to eat or to drink, or if you want to go jack off and look at porn. I mean, whatever it happens to be that you want to go to get relief, it's still there. It doesn't necessarily go away. So the fourth step is you've got to sit in the discomfort. So I got to be uncomfortable. It's like, shit, I want those Oreos, or I want this, or whatever it happens to be. You got to sit in it. And what I have found is if I allow myself to sit in it, recognizing why I'm there, not judging it, the universe will actually move it in a matter of seconds. I've had it happen as soon as 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 92 minutes. Imagine just sitting in that uncomfortableness for 2 minutes. Whoo, might feel like 10 hours. But the reality is if you allow yourself to sit in it, the universe will move it. It just automatically moves it. Now, the fifth step, which sometimes is necessary, is change your environment. So if I go through all of these steps and I'm in my kitchen, and let's just say it happens to be there's a smorgasbord of sweets and all the things that I want sitting in the counter, I can go through this whole step, but if I'm looking down at the counter and I see all this stuff, I'm like, shit, I want to eat. Like, I got to get out of there. I need to go into another room. I need to go for a walk. You've got to change your environment. So awareness, step number 1. 2, acknowledge that you happen to be in that headspace without judgment. 3, get curious. Why am I here? 4, sit in the discomfort. You've got to sit in it. You can't run away from it. The universe will move it. And 5th, if needed, change your environment. I'm telling you, with everything that's going on in the world today, you're going to have multiple opportunities to want to check the fuck out, do something, try to, avoid what's happening or potentially what's happening to you, you got to sit in it. And the more and more you do this, this will help you navigate through stuff. If you happen to be in an addictive cycle, start to implement this. You're not going to be perfect. If you end up engaging in whatever or eating whatever happens to be for you, don't judge it. It's like, here we are again. You can't beat yourself up. Even if you happen to engage, you're going to fall back into old patterns. Expect it. But the more and more you do it, when you do fall, you don't fall as far. And the more and more you do it, the less you fall. So again, I get triggered. I want to eat literally every time I get triggered, I have anxiety. It could be multiple times in a day. 9.8 times out of 10, I don't engage. Every once in a while, yep, but I catch myself. When I'm in it, it's like, here we are. And I don't beat myself up for doing it. I share this because it's going to be extremely important as you navigate the chaos that's coming, because trust me, it's coming. And I hope I'm wrong about some of this stuff, but I don't think I am. So as we kind of wrap things up here, there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of chaos. There is a reckoning that is coming to us in the entire world, here in the country, and what's been happening is unsustainable. There are cracks everywhere. And when there's cracks and they don't get addressed, it will fall. And I truly believe, take Donald Trump. I am not a fan of him personally. I liked him at first, but what's happening, like him as a person, him as a human, not a fan. I'm disgusted in many ways by him. But the truth is, I truly believe that sometimes things have to go away. Some things happen to fall. So I don't think by any means, some people still think he's the best president ever. I think he's the man that has been brought into, has been divinely orchestrated, if you will, to be the president, honestly, as a disruptor, to show how fucked up the system is. Because it's unsustainable. We have, at the time of this recording, we have like 36 trillion in debt. It's insane. It's insane. Lies, agendas all over the place. So I'm asking you to not get caught up into the noise and then look in the mirror. Where are you telling lies? Where are you out of alignment? Where is your foundation have cracks? And fill them quickly. It's going to hurt. Taking accountability hurts, but it will set you free. And the confidence that comes by doing that is priceless, guy. I promise you. Listen, the truth will catch up with you. It always does. This is what's happening today. This is my belief. We have been fed a line of lies, in some cases that go back hundreds of years, decades, centuries. It's all starting to come out. It's all starting to come out. The truth will always catch up. Always. I think it's the number one universal law, regardless of what you believe, is the truth always comes up. Karma is real, and it will catch up to you. And the further and further you run from the truth, the more pain will come. There is a reckoning. There is a price to be paid. There is a debt when you don't speak the truth or you're out of integrity, out of alignment. That debt will be paid. You can't outrun it. You can't, file for bankruptcy and not pay it and get it excused. Like, it will catch up to you, and you've got to pay the debt. So with whatever debts you have in your life today, freaking pay them. How do you pay them? You tell the truth. You accept the consequences, positive and negative. And I promise you, no matter what happens after the fact, you are going to be a better man. You will have more in your life, but you've got to let go. I say this all the time. We're at 100% capacity all the time. And if you want more money, love, sex, physical health, whatever you want more of, the quote unquote good stuff, you have to let stuff go. The letting go is limiting beliefs. The letting go might be paid people. The letting go might be addictive patterns and behaviors, lies. You let that shit go. Our identity is tied to it. It hurts. I'm telling you, it's so painful. I wouldn't wish anybody to go through what I went through. It's actually one of the greatest gifts that I believe I have to offer for the men that I work with is I can connect in your pain. I've experienced it. I know it. And you can only know something if you experience it. So heed my advice for somebody that went to the depths of hell in all parts of his life. Didn't need to. Wasn't even aware of it. And if you have cracks in your foundation, you're heading there. It's inevitable. How long? That's to be determined. I'm not God. I'm not the universe. But the debt has to be paid. You cannot not pay the debt. So be a man of your word. Be a man of integrity. And I'm telling you, this year will cleanse what's not meant to be here. And what's coming on the other side of it is going to be incredible. Every major empire, if you go back and study history, right, they've all fallen. The Roman Empire, all these different things, like it's happened. There's trends. If you look in history, this kind of stuff's happened. What's happening to us today. And it's going to be very painful. And I truly believe like what we would think would never happen is going to happen in our lifetime. And it's all starting right now. I'm telling you, this year is going to be catastrophic in so many ways. But what comes out on the other side of it will be beautiful, but not without a lot of pain. And so I'm inviting you to the one thing that you have control over, which is you. Do the work. Take accountability. Take care of yourself. Swallow your pride. Let the ego down. Let your guard down. Be okay not being okay. Ask for help. I invite you that if you find that, you're in a certain position and you need some help on how to navigate through this and how to see yourself or your worth being questioned, reach out to me. This is what I do. I know this intimately well because I lived it. My entire curriculum and what I do with men was built upon my life experiences. Like, I know this shit. I know it. I've lived it. I know what it feels like to make millions and millions of dollars to start over. I know what it feels like to, go through a divorce and then to go on and feel epic, incredible connection that I never knew was possible. I know what it feels like to be morbidly overweight. To here in the next couple months, I'm going to be on the stage in a shredded in a men's physique contest. I know all sides of this stuff, and I'm telling you what's possible, and you can do anything and you can be anyone, but you've got to tell the truth. You got to own your shit. Be nimble. Control what you can control. Don't get sucked up into all the noise. If your identity is tied to a particular political party, you got to check yourself. This isn't Republican, Democrat anymore. There's so much fighting, and I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of carnage that's happening. And when livelihood is threatened, violence kicks in. People are willing to do anything. Look what happened during COVID. You thought COVID was bad? I don't think we've seen anything yet. I hope I'm wrong. They're talking about implementing potentially the draft. I mean, I have 3 sons that are of that age. I'm telling you, things are shifting. Things are changing. So the thing that we can control is us. We got to be the best version of ourselves. And by telling the truth, God will always be on our side, and we will be able to navigate through anything. Remember that. Every challenge is a gift. How we navigate through it and how we take care of ourselves will ultimately determine how long it takes us to get through it and how we will be on the other side of it. Don't be a victim. Take radical accountability and be the best man you can be. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Burn Up Podcast. We'll see you then.